The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated, yes.
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuits!
Everybody loves Hypno Toad.
Gary Dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting Premier Podcast, TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And we, that be DJ Starcher and the Gassy Hole, as opposed to DJ Davis and the Brassy Knoll, are continuing our journey from the corner to the deuce. And we are 1 month
there.
Yes, we are sashaying through the Tremé. Tremé Season 2, which premiered on April 24th, 2011, and concluded July 23rd, 2011. It consisted of 11 episodes. This is the longest season to date. 1 and 3 had 10, and then Season 4, they just like ran out of gas. So next month.
Oh, okay, we're done.
Next month, we'll be doing Season 3 and 4 at the same time to conclude this before we move on to, I think, Show Me a Heroes after this. But in the meantime, DJ Starcher and the Gassy Hole, we were supposed to do this last month, and
Yes.
Jesse was like, I am social. I have women to entertain,
Yeah.
BDSM clubs to go to,
Uh-huh.
naked clothing optional swimming. I have girls to take to concerts. I don't have time for this. And I'm like, all right, I'll just stay home and mow my lawn, I guess.
Yeah, we had to cram in. For me, if I was going to make last month work, I would have had to have done a lot of watching all at once, and it just all caught up with me. Plus, I think we had some people coming in during that week, and I was like, I could have pulled it off if I didn't have other people here.
I get it, man. I spend a lot of time coming in people too.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh my.
Did I say the quiet part out loud again?
Oh my.
All right. So first season of Tremé was, I think, several months after Katrina. And season 1, as a contrast, really deals with the aftermath of the city flooding. The displaced people, the wreckage, the crime, the losing of people in jail. It's the season where John Goodman's Cray character gets depressed and sick of everything and feels like he has no reason to go on. And despite having a wife and child and a career, he just doesn't see the value in after everything that's happened, and he throws himself in the river. Season 2, it's 14 months after Katrina. Life is starting to return to New Orleans. There's still a lot of abandoned homes. There's in Big Chief, we see that like he's still having to rebuild his house. Jeanette's house is still got no walls. Like, later on in the season, when she has to put her house up for collateral, she was like, I don't care if they take the house. I have no walls. So there's just a lot. I was saying by contrast. So the first season is really people just kind of picking up the pieces of their flood-drenched lives. Season 2, we are further along in the journey. New Orleans is sort of proceeding as normal, or as normal as they can. So season 2, and I was telling you this when we first talked about season 1, season 1's a little all over the place. You know, I told you I struggled with it the first time, and then the second time around, I got the sense of what the show was. You know, it didn't have a clear season 1. Kind of doesn't really have a clear direction. It's just this is what people had to do after the flood. Yeah, you know, this city full of rich culture, music, art, fashion. You know, what do these people do when all of that is kind of washed away? How do you get it all back? It's back now, but it's just the beginning of being back, and people are still trying to figure their lives out, and they're dealing with rebuild, reform, Lamar. Wrong show. They are. Where I was going with this is the focus of season 2 thematically seems to be more on the music. Now that, you know, Maslow's pyramid of needs is being met, we have homes. We are not in danger of being washed out to sea into the Gulf of Mexico. The society is proceeding possibly at a snail's pace, but it is proceeding as normal as it can. People are getting back to their lives, and in the Tremé, where the people sashay, their lives music. And I really like season 2 for that reason. There's 2 things going on in season 2 that we had that bear discussion, and that is the music of New Orleans and what it means to these various characters. But also, there's a big focus on the uptick in crime. So let's talk about music first, since music matters, Jesse Starcher. I put out a TikTok earlier. I'm gonna begin where it ends and work our way forwards and backwards.
Okay.
Some people go both ways.
Yeah. Sure.
My favorite scene in the entire season is towards the end, and I sent this TikTok out today, and I sent it to you, so you know where I'm going with this. It is where they're doing the, Delmon has taken Big Chief. He's figured out that he wants to do a jazz fusion record of the Mardi Gras Indians, Houtane, singing in the street. Houtane, won't tell your mama, Houtane.
Don't tell your papa.
That's right. And they're gonna do it with like modern jazz, and he's gonna have his dad sing on the album, and he takes him to New York, and he gets these session musicians, and of course, you know, as they have this pissing match in the middle of New York street, he's like, "Ain't nobody can cook a fish, a steak, sing a song, do nothing right by you in New York." You know, and you always got to have the last word. Fucking Big Chief, such a dick.
Takes off walking. Nope,
dude, and does the most pissiest, like, girly walk I've ever seen. That man was cool, Lester Smooth, and he sissy walked away.
Oh,
his tail, like, he might be pretty. He might be the prettiest, but his tail feathers were shaking when he walked away from his son. just peacocking the whole way. Nope. You know, and took his ass and ran across the street like a girl. And then the next time we see him, they are down in New Orleans cutting that record. And to Big Chief, it's what he wanted. He got his way, and it sounds the way he wants. He feels like it's authentic. It got to be right, Jesse. It's got to be right. And this was good to him, as they say. This was right.
Yeah.
And his son, who might be a grown-ass man in body, but still has some growing up to do in his mind and heart and soul, says, didn't this sound like the same fucking thing we recorded in New York already?
Right.
And,
the only thing that was different, was the smile on Big Chief's face.
Well, that and they
just because.
Out, but
what's that?
Yeah, that and they changed the drummer, but
okay. I mean, he was excited.
Yes.
He couldn't do it in New York. Once he was at home in New Orleans, that's where it felt good. And the band members were like, yeah, I mean, that mattered. It really mattered. No matter how much Del didn't think it mattered.
Right. So Del's like, it's the same song. We cut it literally the same way. It sounds exactly the same. I don't know what the difference is. And this is the line that got me. Because some of it sounded like gibberish. But the piano player with his like weird Cajun drawl was like, New Orleans infects music. Can you dig it, brah? And I'm like, that's it. That speaks to me. That sums up the whole season. That wherever you go in the world, everyone has music, but there's no music quite like New Orleans. It is a symbiotic relationship between the music of that city and the city itself, the culture of that city. And there's nothing quite like it. And I love the fact that the show tacitly acknowledges this. It was I didn't quite tear up, but I had to share that. I said that to my girlfriend. I said that to my wife. I was like, everyone has to see this fucking line.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it on TikTok. I'm like, this is the best scene in season 2. It was a masterstroke, Gassy Hole masterstroke.
Masterstroke. Yeah, you were really into the music, and me, I was fast forwarding through almost every single time there was a concert. If there were more than 6 people on the screen and there was music being played.
So you had no idea what was going on with Antoine Baptiste this whole season.
Well, no, I followed what was going on there. I actually did have to rewind it when some of the big moments happened in the middle of his concert, but he like
upstages his female singer.
Right. That was hilarious. Hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was so funny because he's just being a scutch. He's just, like she's singing this song and he's like heckling her essentially. But he thinks he's hilarious. And she's like, what the fuck? I'm a professional singer. Get off my nuts. And he keeps doing it. And finally, she's just like, I don't want to be here anymore, you dope. And like walks away.
That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Oh, I'm yawning already, Mark. Boy, oh boy. You think I got to bed early enough last night after we recorded?
I'm on 3 hours sleep, motherfucker.
Oh,
Sachet.
well, but I better not
through the Tremé.
Get me the fucking coffee right now. So yeah, I mean, I was. You really, you said like the second time around, you're appreciating the music that much more, right?
I'm appreciating not just the music in and of itself. I'm appreciating the music as a theme of season 2.
I got you.
Okay. So let's talk about Annie for a second. I know we're gonna. You and I talked before the show that we're structuring this review. Kind of half of it, I want to talk about themes, and the other half we're doing almost character study.
Right.
But some of this may overlap, and I have to talk about Annie because Annie has some serious growth this season. Like I don't really love her in season 1. Season 2, she's a more fleshed out character, and her whole thing is: are you a player or are you a writer?
Yeah.
And she identifies as a player, and she's like, well, and everyone's encouraging, like, you have talent that no one sees because you don't believe in yourself and you don't think it's there, but you have a song in you. Annie has a song in her that is dying to come out, but she's so self-conscious and unsure of her own innate ability that when she goes to finally sit down and write a song for herself, she can't do it. There's that whole bit about she wrote a song and it was basically Don't Think Twice. Like I think it's Don't Think
and
Twice.
And she had no idea, had no clue that it
Steve
wasn't
Earle's
original.
character like calls her out on it. He was just like, that was great when Bob Dylan did it.
She couldn't
but
believe
then she
it.
talks to another musician. It's like we all steal from each other. We all steal like you and I did the Metal Hammer of Doom for like a zillion years, and how many times we were like, that riff's Metallica,
right.
That riff is Slayer,
right?
Like we heard the same riffs and cuts all over everyone else's albums. Like there's only so many ways you can twist a guitar.
Yeah.
But I guess it was close enough to Dylan where they were like, nope, try again. But I also think like she had trouble finding her voice. One of the things I really liked about this season was watching her process. And unfortunately, and we can talk in detail about this a little bit later, but when Steve Earle's character fucking pulls a "Don't be a menace," I feel sorry. I feel sorry for your mama. Like you're making a bad choice. All right, rule number 1: in the process of being mugged, don't try to save the mugger. Just give him your fucking wallet and walk away.
Let him go.
Because you will be shot point blank in the head. Yep. And it is that tragic event that inspires her to write her song finally at the end of the season. But I really, I enjoyed like Annie's process, talking to Davis, talking to Steve Earle, going to that countryside Mardi Gras, like authentic
Oh, yeah. Well, that was strange.
That really was that weirdo Mardi Gras celebration.
You guys are either going to dance. It was either you're going to play, dance, or chase the chicken.
Right. And they caught the chicken.
Yeah. Chicken got released. They caught it like within seconds, too. I thought it was going to be a longer ordeal than that. Guess not.
But tell me, what did you think of Annie's journey? Like, did it speak to you at all?
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from in regards to like she definitely had more growth. So this is a story that's focused on her. I did like her learning how. You're the one that said, man, I just love watching her go through this process of trying to come up with this song. And
I love music. I love the creation of music.
Yeah, you sent that to me, and it was like I was on the episode right before she started doing that. So I was kind of intrigued and wanted to see how things were going to go. It's marked with a lot of there's a journey that she goes on in order to get to where she has this final product. Did she end up? Well, I mean, I know she ended up having the song, and they were kind of like trying to coax her to play it, and there's this real kind of like shyness to her where she. I don't know if it's the fact that she's just too afraid of bringing that part out in front of others. I mean, she has no problem playing other people's stuff in front of others.
Right.
So
no,
when she's playing.
Personal. I think she plays with like Sean Colvin. Is the artist's name, if I remember correctly, and she's super confident. Like she shines. Her star shines brightly. But I think that's what everyone sees in her is you have the charisma of a superstar, but you're never going to be that playing other people's songs,
right?
And you immediately see a change within her to where she has this confidence to play, and she's grateful and humble. And then when she has to turn inward and think about what is it that I have to say, what is the song in my heart trying to get out, she turns into the vulture from the Bugs Bunny cartoon. They go, oh no, 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 no. Oh no, 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 no.
Yeah, she and a lot of it may also be that she was just hoping that the final thing that she brought to everybody and let everybody hear was done, because I remember when she was first offered, she was like, it's not ready yet. I'm not she's not ready, or the song's not ready.
Who she reminds me of, and you'll love this. You'll love this because it's like your favorite thing ever. You're gonna get a wreck and your pants are gonna come flying at the screen.
Oh man, get ready. All right.
She reminds me of George McFly.
George McFly. Oh my goodness. Just like I told you. There come your pants. If you put your mind to it, you could do anything. Remember how he was with his science fiction writing? Oh yeah.
Like,
he couldn't show. Don't look at that.
He couldn't show it to anyone.
That's right.
And the reason why is like, well, if I can't, he's like, what if it's not good? What if someone doesn't like it? I don't think I can handle that kind of rejection. That's what Annie is saying. She's like, if I play this song and it doesn't hit, if it doesn't resonate, I don't know if I'll recover. And everyone's just like, you got to take big swings. Compare that with DJ Davis, okay, who from season 1, as Tony, I believe is her character's name, what's Leah's character?
Yeah,
is telling him, you do not motherfuck the National Guard. DJ Davis, I just want my city back. 14 months later, he's like, I have some shit to say. Like, I don't like the way things are running here. Like he's got this passion about like bounce and New Orleans rap, and he clearly sees this, this unvarnished jewel that's out there that he's like, the world is missing out on the New Orleans bounce and hip hop scene. I want to bring it to the world. I'm passionate about this, but I'm also angry. I'm angry at how slow things are recovering. I'm angry about how the government mismanaged the Katrina cleanup and recovery. I'm angry that my city's not what it once was, when there's no reason why it couldn't be. And so he takes his passion for the New Orleans rap and bounce scene, and he combines it with his like political outrage, and thus DJ Davis and the Brassy Knoll is born.
Yes, it is.
And he finds Calliope. And Calliope doesn't give a two shits and a fuck about Davis's like vision.
I don't know about that. I mean, he seemed like he was grateful to get the opportunity and was I mean, it's not like
they could have been
off.
singing. No, they could have been singing songs about fucking ingredients in a cookbook, and Calliope would have been just as happy.
Okay,
Calliope,
and you're right.
Go ahead.
No, that's right. You're exactly right. I feel like he was fine either way.
Right.
But I think he was still grateful. Go ahead.
I'm not arguing that he wasn't grateful for the opportunity. The opportunity is what gave him his platform to do his dance songs, right? To do his club tracks. Right. Let me tell you, can I tell you how much I fucking resonated? I related to the DJ Davis thing of I see things that are bad. I feel the need to talk about it. I'm enraged. People should be enraged with me. We should be upset about all of this. It's not that we're not upset, but can we just dance? We just want to dance. It's like, oh my god, this is why nothing good happens here. Like when you need people to stand up and fight, they're like, I gotta have breakfast.
Right, dude.
That lack of urgency.
That's going to take a lot more effort than what I really want to invest in this. Can you just share a video so I can watch it happen?
Right. I will absolutely like your Facebook post.
Yes. I might share them. I don't know. That's a lot of effort too.
It is a lot of effort to retweet somebody. I got to hit that button. I am just trying to scroll through Twitter. So I have been where Davis has been. I have looked around at the clown show that is my life and said, things matter. Issues matter. And we need to stand up and deal with this. And everyone goes, I have a date tonight. I don't have time for it. What the fuck?
I understand you're upset, but
right. Like, look, no one's saying don't be upset. They just don't ask me to do anything about it. I have my
don't ask me to be upset.
Right. So poor Davis. No one understands poor white Davis. But he forms this band. He has this message. He is utterly upstaged incidentally, like not necessarily purposefully. It's just the way of the world,
right? Something clicks with Lil Calliope.
Look, I have a TikTok. You can see it on the screen here. I'm at Mark Radulich both on Twitter and TikTok, and I put up the best 10 minutes of any show that I do. And some of these, and you've been a part of them, Jesse. You're certainly you're all over my TikTok. TikTok, you don't stop. And I think
make your way to the cock. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's right there.
Mark Radulich.
We put on, I think, high quality intellectual discussion about the entertainment industry and life, the universe, and everything. I don't know if they're, by a bunch of like amateur middle-aged neckbeards, if there's a higher degree of intellectual discourse, and that might sound egotistical and like I'm patting myself on the back, but have you heard some of these other podcasts? So there we are toiling on TikTok, putting up the best 10 minutes of intellectual discourse that we record per night, and maybe get 40-50 views, maybe even crack 100 if something really hits. Or my god, that one day I got 1,000 for the shit on the menu that we talked about. The great cheeseburger debate. But on average, it's less than 100 views a day. But a dog jumps into the pool and someone puts like a funny quote over it. 2.2 million.
Yeah, dude.
We are a culture that rewards low effort. There's a snarky comment I was about to make, but I'm trying to do better this year. I'll tell you later.
All right, then.
But we reward low to no effort. We do not reward high effort intellectual discourse, deep and meaningful stuff. People don't have fucking time for it. They go on TikTok to watch babies curse at their mothers. So I get where Davis is coming from. I get the frustration. I get the doesn't anyone else want to save this city? No, we just want to drink daiquiris and eat pizza and flash tits.
Right.
But he gets his revenge. He does, especially when when everybody is telling him, it's just like, DJ Davis, we like Callio. We don't like your honky white ass. And he says, it's fine. I'm gonna quit the band. I'm gonna leave DJ Davis in the Brassy Knoll. But I'm going out
he went out in style, buddy. He leaned
did.
right into it. I think that was one of my favorite parts of this.
It's the best. It is like one of the best season finales in the history of television.
He just like straight up leans into this white guy, uppity, uptown persona, comes out with a sweater wrapped around his neck and, a drink in it, a martini in his hand. And that is the exact opposite of what he wanted to be.
Hair in a douchey ponytail. The douche tail.
He hates. I think he hates his family. Well, he doesn't hate his family, but he's at odds with his family so much.
Yeah,
his family loves him. There's definitely a lot of love there.
There's self-loathing there. He's privileged.
Yes,
but
he doesn't like that.
Yeah, he is a privileged white upper class individual, but he sees the struggle, and and he's kind of a ne'er-do-well. And he's like a lot of people with money, where they're self-loathing about the money, and they sort of seek out that underground one lap ahead kind of culture, but they don't totally fit in. Like, you're almost too smart and too good for them. And you become like a man without a country, because you don't fit in with your rich people because you want to be down home, but you don't really fit in with the down home people because you're a rich, uppity, white honky.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard being DJ Davis. And I know how hard it is, because I feel like in many ways I am DJ Davis and the rest,
So he just ends up, he basically has a grenade in his hand on that last performance.
Oh, yeah. So people understand what we're talking about. They do Sex Machine by...
Yes. This is James Brown.
Yeah, they do Sex Machine by James Brown. And he does it with the sweater on, with the shirt, with the pink golf shirt, and the slacks in the douche tail. And he has martini in his hand, and he's going, "Get on up, Jesse Starcher. Get on up, like a sex machine." I say, get on up, and it's fucking awesome.
It is probably, honestly, I think this was where I was kind of conflicted with that band, because look. Steve Zahn, I don't know if he's really putting himself, I'm sure that he's putting himself into this role, but I was like, man, I cannot get past the fact that this is a white guy shouting out these lyrics. And I'm not talking about the whole James Brown thing. I'm talking about some of the stuff he had before.
Road
Home didn't sound, like Road Home did not sound good. I'm like, my gosh, it just sounds, we got a white guy over here trying to spit out lyrics. You can tell he's white.
Yeah, it would be... it's like, so you have, just as it's like an example, you have like NWA, Ice Cube, Fuck the Police,
right?
Authentic. It sounds right coming from Ice Cube.
Yes.
Now, what if the same song, but written by Metallica?
Yeah.
Like the white guys from the San Francisco Bay Area,
right?
Dun, 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 dun. I said, fuck the police. Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it's tough.
And I said it with authority. Yeah.
It was tough to see him in that.
I'm going to do it again. All right. Imagine, fuck the police, but everyone's fucking in a UFO.
Oh my God.
I said, everybody's fucking the police. Yeah.
I don't know if you could take it seriously. And that's the same thing with what was going on with Road Home. Like, I mean, I understood the passion. I understood that's what Davis was trying to get across. But when he leaned into it,
I was like, you're the smartest guy in the room and no one will listen to you.
Yeah. He was like, you know what? Fuck it. All right, here we go. I'm just going to be what you guys think I am.
Yeah. You know what? I'm a privileged white guy. Fine. I'm a privileged white guy. I get on up.
Here we go.
Like a sex machine.
Yeah.
You can kind of almost like off camera see Calliope like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not smart enough to feel stupid.
Man.
I'll just have tattoos on my face. It's fine.
Yeah. That is something about Davis is such an interesting character.
He really is. He's so much better in this season too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's not quite as whiny as he was in season 1.
That's the truth.
We got to talk about Antoine Baptiste and the Soul Apostle.
The Soul Apostles.
So his whole story this season is, the first season he was just trying to gig around town. He couldn't pay for a full cab fare. His woman and their new baby. It's just like, we live in a shit apartment because our house got drowned, and you need to bring home the bacon. And he's, you know, just trying to blow his horn. Tommy, he's trying to blow his horn, and like, he doesn't have much of a season 1. Season 2, he is totally like, I'm going to put a band together. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be successful. And he has this really great line. He's like, every generation, because he's talking about how he failed his kids. He didn't get his kids to play instruments. He didn't push them. He did not do what a father should, because as I've told people, you got to sometimes push your kids and make them a little uncomfortable. That's part of being a dad. You can't, you know, just let your kids decide what direction they're going to go without any kind of, you know, guidance or push. A lot of times they won't do anything unless they're like super self-motivated. And, you know, and what happened with his kids, they just rejected music altogether. You know, they're just not into it. It's not their thing. And he feels like he failed his, you know, because he gets a job at the behest of his wife because they need money. He gets a job as an assistant band director, and he starts to really bond with the kids. And that's when it dawns on him, shit, I fucked up. But along the way, the journey in season 2 for Antoine is there has been a Baptiste playing around New Orleans for 3 or 4 generations now. My granddaddy did it. My daddy did it. I'm doing it, which is why he said that his kids won't do it. But that's, you know, and we'll get to this in a second, but that's why he bonds with the other kids in the band. So he puts together this band, and the arc of him this season in dealing with this band is this almost like the collapse of his love of being a gigging musician. You know, he has such, like, he's not, it's funny, he ends up getting a guy to kind of like manage the behaviors of the band because he does not have the spoons for it. He's like, there's a lot of motherfucking going on.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, he just like gets disillusioned over the course of 11 episodes about people's behavior in bands, and like, you put together a band, and no sooner than you put together this band, but everyone's like, oh, I got a tour to go to. Oh, I got this other gig. And it's like herding cats, Jesse.
Yeah. What does he say? He's like, I got a 9-piece band with 87 pieces, something like that, because there's so many, like, there's so many fill-ins that have to fill in for this person. And this person leaves, and he's got to find somebody to fill here. So he's got all these people.
Oh, the best is at the end where he gets the guy from the Brassy Knoll to play piano to replace the one guy, and he's like, you don't have his piano, do you?
Oh yeah.
Like, that was in the details, baby. But yeah, he becomes really like disillusioned by it. You know, he gets the one like Japanese guitar player, I can't remember what his, I think he's Japanese, and like, he loves him. He's like, you're in the band, like, great. And he's like, that's great. I have 87 other gigs. Sorry, bye.
And he ends up wanted man.
Right. And so he ends up with Sonny. That's how, like, their tale together is sort of tied up. Sonny is in the band, and then the one guy who speaks on Sonny's behalf after Sonny fucks up 2 or 3 times gets him clean and gets him on the oyster boat. And towards the end of that, he's got his shit together, and he's pursuing the neighboring girl working on a boat. And that's kind of like Sonny, like, he got clean. That's his whole story.
Yeah, his arc is he's trying to get off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the way that he sees to get off the streets, and when I say get off the streets, he's playing on the streets for quite a while, but he's living with some druggies, and he's doing drugs as well.
Right. So he wants in the band because, like, he needs a steady gig.
Right. And he gets the gig there, and they finally, I mean, Antoine fires his ass for being late like twice.
Right.
And boy, was that, I was expecting him to be like, okay, you got one more chance, but nope. He told him once, you're done.
He didn't really like Sonny, though. That was the thing. Like, Sonny, Antoine can be a bit of a girl. He's like, Sonny, not the guitar player I wanted, so I have a lot less patience for him.
Yeah.
But then he got stuck with him, and he was like, oh, I'm not going to have a guitar player otherwise. But I did, you know, we do need to just spend a minute and talk about how, like, Antoine is trying so hard to make professional musician happen for him. And if he wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. He can't get the band to coalesce and stay together. He's sometimes a victim of his own poor behavior. Like, we talked about this. You know, they're doing a gig with the elder woman singer, and she's belting out her song, and everyone's having a great time. And Antoine just fucking around. Like, he thought he was being funny. And she's like, no, this is unprofessional. This is shitty. This isn't drag. This isn't comedy. Like, what are you doing? I'm trying to sing a song here.
Yeah.
He can be his own worst enemy, as is, often the case with him. Like, he almost like self-sabotages.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, he's responsible for that band breaking up, even though he kind of sees it as everyone else can't gel, can't coalesce.
Right. I mean, that morning that he gets up the next morning and he's got like 20 messages of just like everybody saying, this guy's doing this. I got my stuff stolen out of my van. He's got another message from the one lady who's giving him, reading him the riot act. And then she's like, now, if you want me to come back in the band, and then she just continues to go on.
Right.
And
then, like, even though they're good and he's good, everyone's good in New Orleans. Kermit's good. And he's got to compete with Kermit, who has a large following. Right. He's got to compete with these other bands, and he's just meanwhile, during the day, he slowly but surely starts to bond with the kids in the marching band. And one in particular who he starts paying for lessons for. And at the end of the season, he's got a couple of the kids out on the street, and he's teaching them to, like, play in the street. Like, this is it. This is the beginning of your journey to be a gigging musician.
Oh yeah,
and you can see the light. You can see the light in his eyes when he does it.
Straight up, this is Jazz Fest, and I think there's a lot going on in his head at this point where he's like really upset about the fact that he's missing out on Jazz Fest.
Right.
He sees that singer that left him up on stage, and she blows him a kiss, and boy, that pisses him off. And then that night, he was like, "It's time to do School of Rock." He's like, "I'm going to go get the kids," and he kind of marries those two together where now he loves teaching these kids, and he's going to teach them one thing, and he's going to also get to play with them during Jazz Fest out on the street with them, which was, and I think that was really cool. That was probably one of my favorite moments for.
It's not the band he wanted, but it's the band he needs.
Right. Exactly.
I think that's it for the musical element of this season, which is my favorite part of season 2. We need to, we will get to characters, but we need to talk about the other side of season 2, which is the rise in crime. There's a really great line where, Mardi Gras night, where it's just like with all the rise in murders happening, like they only have like one incident in all of Mardi Gras. Like that's like a wild
because he was expecting like the whole year they had a horrible year, and he was expecting Mardi Gras.
He being Coulson, Lieutenant Coulson.
Yeah, Terry Coulson. He is expecting it to be way one of the worst Mardi Gras they ever had when it comes to violence. And there was one kid with one gun that he shook down. That was about it. One murder, I think. That happened.
Sonny gets mugged in the street. This is why he wants to get off the street. He got mugged, and his piano got took, along with his money. And and then LaDonna gets her bar gets robbed, and she's raped by 2 guys.
Yep.
There's a tacit acknowledgement that the police the police are so corrupt in New Orleans, they make the Baltimore police look like fucking, Knights of the Templar. Like, it's just like it's so bad. Well, so Coulson's story is like he, with Tony's sort of push, he starts looking into some of the drop balls in the homicide unit, and then he gets put in the homicide unit. They're like, clean it up
under the guy that he was butting heads with throughout most of the season.
He's basically told, clean it up or get the fuck out. Those are your choices. You want to, it's like that line from The Wire where I think it's season 4 or season 5 where it's the Omar situation where Omar gets framed for shooting the store clerk and pistol whipping Fat Face. What's Fat Face Andre? I think it's Fat Face Andre. No, wait, Fat Face Rick. Something. It doesn't matter. The guy that ran the store that's a front for drugs.
Right.
Yeah, it's not. I'm thinking of Fat Face Rick, but like Old Face Andre. That's what it is.
There you go.
Old Face Andre. But but what about Shorty Boyd?
Like an Old Face.
So it's like the bit with Old Face Andre where Omar gets framed for pistol whipping him and shooting the store clerk, and and Omar calls bunk. And he's like, I'm calling in my marker from having, from you testifying against Bird. Like, I didn't do this. And Bunk's like, yeah, but you shot like 90 million other people, so fuck off. And Omar's like, okay, but the guy who did this, the guy who gunned down a citizen who wasn't doing anything, an innocent citizen, is still out there. Want to live with that, Bunky Bunk? And so Bunk gets into the case. And the one detective's like, I'm going to be up in all your shit, Bunk. I'm going to undo every case you are. You want to fuck with me? I'm going to fuck with you 10 times as hard. That's what's going on here in season 2 of Tremé, where Coulson's like getting involved in everyone's murders. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
You want to get up in everyone's murders? You want to basically paint, help the civil rights lawyer, your fucking friend, asshole, as we're corrupt and incompetent. And the whole thing revolves around an incident where New Orleans cops shot a store full of people. We probably shouldn't execute people. Maybe we should look into this. And they're
innocent enough, right?
And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's fine. We're good with just killing people.
We don't need anybody. We do not need anybody airing our dirty laundry here.
Yep.
So we're just going to cover it up. We're actually going to toss this dirty laundry into a large hole and bury it.
Yep. Business as usual. Business. Always business. And, and so Coulson's like, by the end of the season, he's like pissed off Tony. He's pissed off all the cops.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He is not friends.
He is not in a good spot.
No good deed goes unpunished.
No.
But he does turn over the Danziger case to the FBI and basically like, we have a shop full of fucking murderers in the homicide unit. Yeah. Go nuts. And that's his whole thing. The other big crime that's committed this season sort of goes to, as we're trying to rebuild, as we're rebuilding homes and trying to get people their federal money and do what we need to do, but we're having difficulty with that element of social contracting and Maslow's pyramid of need. We cannot provide security for people. And that's LaDonna's tale.
Right.
She's just closing up her bar, and 2 ne'er-do-wells come in and rape her and rob her and beat her to death, half to death. And, like her story is sympathetic. And I guess it's interesting, but like, there's nothing about LaDonna's story in season 2 that you can't see in any season of Law and Order or SVU or something.
I mean, with her being a main character, clearly she's what I have written down here for her is, I mean, most of what she's going through here is PTSD from that and trying to deal
shame, guilt.
Right. She's turning to alcohol after that happens. She can't go into the bar and work anymore. Right. It really is. It's torn her apart what happened down there because it's a place that she loves. And now she can't walk in there without getting physically ill.
I know she's one of the pictures that you have in your part of the podcast. So we're going to double back to LaDonna because there is some stuff I want to talk about, but it's more character stuff than it is really dealing with the crime part of it specifically. So let's table this for now. But yeah, Steve Earle gets shot. Him and Annie are walking home. He's walking Annie home, as a matter of fact. And they get mugged like everybody else in the season. And, the guys, I think, take their money. And Steve Earle, not being able to fucking control himself, is like, you're making a mistake. Yeah. Okay. The guy just robbed you at gunpoint. Probably not the time for an intervention. And he gets shot dead up in the head.
Making a mistake, son. I'm not your son. Those are the last words you got to hear.
Yep. You ain't my daddy. So, all right. That's my half of this 45 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on the screen here, Jesse.
Okay.
Take it away. Let's talk.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, the good part about this is that this isn't going to take long because we talked a lot about the main arcs for most of these characters. Now, here's one that we didn't really have a chance to mention because
reform, Lamar.
The crime part of things, maybe. That might fold into this at the end, but Jon Seda.
I was talking street crime and murder. Like you're talking about the political
crime
and like capital corruption.
Right. This is now This is Nelson Hidalgo. Let's try that again. Nelson Hidalgo. Okay. Nelson,
our friend from
played
Dallas.
by Jon Seda from if you're Detective Falzone from Homicide. That's where I know him from. Yeah, he shows up, and I mean, he's from what I understand, I think he's the cousin. He's from Texas. He's the cousin of the guy that helped LaDonna put her roof on.
Yeah, he's the cousin of the roofer.
Yeah. So I mean, he shows up, and granted, for me, this was the least important arc of the season, in my opinion. I mean, really, this guy shows up and he starts wheeling and dealing. Nelson's essentially trying to.
You're
it's funny
missing
because
a huge part of this. Finish what you're saying, but I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I was going to say it's interesting that I love the fact that his cousin corners him in a bar. This is after, this crime had happened where now they're saying, hey, you might want to lay low and maybe go back.
Hang on.
Texas.
You got to set this up because you're missing so much great detail. So,
well, then please.
Yeah. He shows up in New Orleans. There's federal money to be had to rebuild.
Right.
He's kind of like a middleman. He finds a group in need of resources. He connects them to the maker and the seller of those resources, and he does it for a fair deal, and he gets a cut. Starts with demolition. He gets, the guy from the first season with the demolition truck that Big Chief is dealing with. And he's like, I have federal money to provide demolition and cleanup in New Orleans. I'm going to give you X to take care of all that for me.
Right.
And he doesn't. It's successful. And then he's like, okay, I want to get in on real estate here. I want to sell fiber optic cables. Like, I want to do more deals. But everything in New Orleans takes a little payola. This is the critical element, Jesse. This is why this arc was important. You're talking about a city that is trying to rebuild. Reform, Lamar. And how many more times will I say that before the end of this podcast? You're talking about a city that's trying to rebuild. There's no time. There's no time to be had. You got to get this done. People are still suffering. This is 14 months later, and here's this guy who was like, "I just want a little piece. I just want to be paid for my service and my goodwill, but I want to help in this process." Well, you can, like we learned with Idris Elba's Stringer, you got to go see the goose. That goose that laid a golden egg.
Yep.
He sees so many gooses. He sees so many gooses he has to deal with this season.
We'll call
he's got to talk. Nope, gooses.
So many gooses.
So much goose. So many gooses. He's got to talk to all the geese throughout New Orleans. Like, you got to talk to that guy. Well, that guy needs you to talk to that guy. Well, that guy's going to need you to put a little pocket money in his hand. Well, that guy. And this is why I was like, you have to talk about this, because I know you, liberal, tree-hugging, progressive Jesse Starcher, who loves all of God's children.
Yeah.
When he had to put on blackface and ride with the Zulu, how uncomfortable did that make you?
Yeah. I'm sure it made
What's even better.
I'm sure it made him more
big afro, blackface, hitting on a black girl with a coconut in hand. With a coconut.
Yep.
How awesome was that?
Yeah.
And he gets it.
I mean,
he gets his he gets the digits.
He gets the deal done too. That's one of the things that I wrote down here is that he comes to the city and he's got money, dollar signs in his eyes.
Yep.
But what he ends up doing,
New Orleans, land of opportunity.
Right. What you start to see is how much he loves the city. Now, I can tell you most of this season, if not, I'd say about 90% of the season, I was just waiting for him to be some kind of real shitty person.
He wants his cut, but he really is like,
right.
There's a bit where there's a contract and it's way overpriced, but it's friends helping friends. And so like he's trying to get in, and he's done all this glad handing, he's done all this meeting around, and he's touched the right people, and he gets there and he's like, I want to offer you a better deal. And they're like, yeah, but I would like to make my friends rich. And he says in like the next scene, he was just like, I don't think this city cares about saving money.
Exactly.
I legit gave them a better deal. And like, it wasn't good enough. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, like he's like genuinely a good, decent dude. And he's in the most corrupt fucking city. And this is the point. He is in the most fucking corrupt city in the United States. Like, everybody is so much more concerned with what juice they can squeeze out of this destroyed city than they are with rebuilding it.
Right.
And in the end, all the people that he touched, beginning with the one city council member who is also a part of Tony's daughter's story, gets caught in a corruption scam.
Yeah.
And every possibility for success that Nelson had is now gone because he could be caught up in the political scandal too, because he committed bribery.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what makes it kind of tragic, because he really started to fall in love with the city. I mean, I don't know how many, anytime you saw him on screen, I think this is the thing that kind of aggravated me the most, was just him bragging about the deals that he did. I did this and I did that, and then $5.5 million here and blah blah blah. And I was just like, okay, I get it, man. He's here to make money. But then the bar scene that I was getting ready to talk about that you kind of set up here is where his cousin is like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I make deals."
But what do you? Yeah, he's like, I'm paid to fix roofs or put roofs on houses. What do you do actually? I do deals.
There's
what
no
does
good
that
answer
mean?
for it. And there is no answer that he could give to me. That
it is the scene like from Office Space, bro. It is the scene from Office Space. What do you do? I go between sales and engineering. Why can't sales talk to engineering? You can't expect the engineering people to be human and people and talk to salespeople. And salespeople don't know how to talk to engineering. They're practically robots. That is my value. I can talk to both tribes. And they're like, your job is utterly unnecessary. These people can communicate to themselves. He's like, no, I'm valuable. I talk to people.
He puts his suit on and he looks important, and he goes out there and he talks to people. And granted, he does get some work done. I mean, stuff is happening. He put those, just like you said, he put Big Chief's friends' crew to work, and they were cleaning up some stuff. So, I mean, obviously he's getting things done, but it's interesting just to see, like, I mean, he's doing nothing but talking to people and doing deals. So least interesting for me for this season. I love Jon Seda as an actor. I think he's great, but
I think about like season 3 and 4 and some of 5 in The Wire, and like the political machinations and the corruption. And, you know, I think about like Norris. Like, you know, they want so bad to get rid of Burrell that they're having a meeting with Norris, and Norris has a list of fucking like reverends or like pastors or whatever that need favors done. And, you know, he like gives like a liquor board license to somebody who utterly didn't deserve it, and things like that. And it was just like, you gave away the fucking store just to get rid of Burrell. You know, like someday I got to make you watch some of these like political shows that I like. I like, I got you. I got you forever, Jesse. You're never going anywhere. No.
I just sat here and told you how much I did not like this guy's arc, because it was mostly
great. We're gonna watch. We're gonna fuck Ronnie. We're not doing Sons of Anarchy now. Now we're doing K Street.
What? I have no idea what that is.
Don't worry about it. You'll be bored to tears and want to kill me and then yourself. But it's awesome. It's about Washington lobbyists. It was on HBO. Stars George Clooney. Take your pants off and jerk off to it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
jeez.
What's worse? The hypersexual me or the force you to like the thing I like me?
That is a tough. Peanut Gallery's chiming in.
Kelsey just yelled yes from across the room. Anyway, I'll let you move on from this, but it is important to tell the story of political corruption in New Orleans, because it goes to why the city struggled to recover. It's important.
All right. I'll give you that. All right. Okay. Next up, we got LaDonna and her husband, Larry. And
I hate that fucking bar. I fucking hate it. That's him the whole season.
Yeah. Well, it really ramps up when he finds out that she was raped, because he really, and I think that was probably one of the most for these two, this dynamic, the whole LaDonna, arc that she had. I think one of my favorite moments happens like near the end of the season, where she goes to talk to the lawyer, or no, I think it's the lawyer. She goes to talk to the lawyer, and we find out that her rapist was let out by error, like something had fell through the cracks or something,
like a clerical error.
She sees him. Yeah, she sees him in a bar, and she calls the cops. She's like, he's supposed to be in jail. What in the world? Why is he doing that? So she goes to talk to the lawyer. The lawyer says, yeah, there was a clerical error, and that's why he's out. And she lets the lawyer have it about how much she's struggling, and how much
barrels.
The city is struggling as well. And what I loved about it was Larry was present, and prior to that, I mean, it's almost like he blamed her for what happened, the fact that she got raped.
I gotta
because she didn't get rid of the bar. I think and that's where I'm going. I'm not saying like, hey, you got raped because you had the bar. I'm just saying like, this is I feel for this guy, because I've been there. I've been to where I've said something to somebody and they didn't listen. And all of a sudden we're this horrible, we're in these horrible circumstances because, number one, you didn't listen to me a year ago when I told you this was going to happen.
No one listens to Pete.
It's not good for you. Why is it still there?
Pete.
So, but she lets the lawyer have it with both barrels, just like you said. And Larry looks at her and he's like, "We're not getting rid of that bar." And it's at that point where he makes.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too. There's a scene prior where LaDonna is depressed. She won't get off the couch, and he's like, "Go to work or sell the bar." But you're sitting here watching TV, being a shell of the person that I married is not healthy for anyone living in this house.
Yeah, get up off your ass.
Yeah, get up off your ass. Get on up like a sex machine. Get on up. And I've been there. I have watched my wife suffer through a decade of what started out as, I think, postpartum and just kind of blossomed into good old-fashioned depression for a long time, and just sitting there like it gets hard to push the boulder uphill because you trip and it just rolls over you again and again and again. And after a while, you just get tired of pushing it. Fine, sit at the bottom of the hill. I don't know what else to do. I'll go do 20 podcasts a week. It'll be fine. So I get where Larry is coming from, but you know also where I get where Larry's coming from? Hating what it is your wife is doing, but knowing it's the thing that makes her happy, and so you let her do it anyway. Because ultimately, what you want is the happy woman that you married.
Right.
For a lot of people, that doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense, but boy did it resonate with me.
Yeah.
So when he's like, "I hate that fucking bar," and you can substitute anything you want for bar, whatever it is that your loved one is doing that you're not a huge fan of. It's like, I fucking hate it, but it is who you are. It is what makes you happy. It is what makes you whole. It is what gives you life. So I'm going to stand behind you, and we're going to make this happen, because without it, you're basically a zombie. You're a shell of the person you once were.
Right.
And I wanted to address, because, anatomy of a scene. So LaDonna, the great Khandi Alexander, I believe her name is.
Yep.
From The Corner, as a matter of fact, in News Radio. Phenomenal actress. We talked all about her in The Corner when she was Fran. And so she unloads on this lawyer with both barrels, and then, stomps her skinny ass out of the office. And there's Larry, who's like this kind of uptightish dentist, well-to-do.
Dentist.
Yeah, you see his fucking swagger, his Calliope DJ Davis fucking sex machine swagger, that's my woman. Yeah, motherfucker. He was black and proud. He was hyped and amped. He was like, yeah, my woman. And they're walking to the elevator. She has given Larry anywhere from a minor ration of shit to just shit ton of disrespect for 2 seasons. Like this poor bastard. And he stops her shortly before the elevator and says, "We're not selling the bar. The bar is you. You are the bar, and this is what needs to happen. I, as your husband, recognize that the greater good is served by you being whole. And so the bar will remain open."
Yeah.
And this woman who has utterly taken advantage of this man has treated him like shit, gaslit him, manipulated him, just shit on him for 2 seasons. Has this like, I'm shitty face. Like, acting with your face is a phenomenal thing. I've said this on Damn You Hollywood a bunch of times, and I think I might have said it to you on some TV parties. Anyone can do a line reading. It takes a special kind of actor to act silently with your face.
Oh, yeah.
And
Khandi
she has this. Khandi has that. It's such a beautiful scene because they have that interaction before they get in the elevator, and then he fucking big dick struts into the elevator. Sex machine, get on up. And she kind of just mousily Japanese woman wife follows him into the thing. And you can kind of see with the face she makes her turn into the jackass. She's like, "Oh, I feel like 2 cents." And when she realizes this man loves her, this man is sacrificing his own wants and needs to make her whole. And she realizes just how shitty she's treated him. And as the elevator shuts, she turns and buries her face in his chest. It's beautiful. It is amazing. It is such a well-directed scene and obviously well acted. But like, I really want to call out the direction on that because again, they're in tight frame because the elevator doors are closing, and you just see this woman utterly immersed in her own guilt turn and go with just her body, no words. "I'm sorry. I'm dumb. I love you. Thank you for loving me. I don't deserve you." It was a fucking head gesture that said all that, Jesse. It was a head gesture.
Yeah.
I gave up doing television reviews for a variety of reasons, but this is the sort of thing that brings me back.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It was good. It's probably top 3 moment of the season for me.
For sure.
All right. Next up, we have Big Chief, Albert Lambro, and his son, Delmond. Delmond hanging out up in New York. Most of the season, I feel like, granted, we do get enough it seems like both of them throughout the season, but I feel like more what we get is Delmond trying to do get his album going. And of course that pulls in his dad. Delmond has this unending quest to find a unique sound to put on his newest jazz album, and finally strikes him that combination of Indian chants and Mardi Gras and the style of jazz, maybe what he's looking for, and tries to get his dad to. I thought it was going to be and it was a struggle. Number one, to get, and even the other musicians realize, are both sides going to approve? Are both purists, jazz purists and Indians?
Yeah, it was like an IRA fucking negotiation. It was like the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Are they going to approve of this actually being something that you can do?
Right.
And he gives it a few. It takes Delmond a few to be like, fuck it. All right, I'm going to do it anyway, and let's see what we can do.
Yep.
I think Albert's problems with the red tape, the road home.
Oh my God. He rebuilds his fucking plumbing, and they're like, "Did you get a permit? Did you get a plumber permit to sign off on that?" And they're like, "All right, well, we're turning your water off." And he kind of has that like LaDonna moment of, we are on our fucking ass and on our own because God forbid anyone help us.
Right. Gets his insurance check.
I rebuilt the fucking pipes myself, and that's not good enough because I don't have a piece of paper that says so. My favorite thing was his road home money. He can't get it because his dead wife isn't alive to sign for it, who died before the hurricane.
What a mess.
Well, yeah, like, wow. There's a book I read good 20 years ago called The Death of Common Sense, and the opening chapter is about how nuns wanted to open up an orphanage but couldn't because of red tape. It's absolutely a conservative leaning book, but it does, conservative or progressive, it does speak the truth about government overreach, and I don't want to go into like a whole.
Oh, I've got so many
here.
opinions. Oh no, go ahead.
Jesse, tell us about your voting record. It does, there is credence to the conservative argument about progressive government overreach and interference and intrusiveness in the lives of everyday Americans, and creating overlapping government red tape does in many ways prevent progress.
Mm-hmm.
When progressives' insistence on government interference and intrusion actually deters progress, it's in the fucking name, and they are like defeating themselves. I am with the progressives who are against the conservatives, who say we need an EPA, we need laws against fucking dumping toxic waste into the water. Like, I'm all about that. Like, I read the Jungle too. Like, I don't want sawdust in my sausage. I get it. But, it's like, I shouldn't have to live in a world where that's my choice. So much government intrusion and red tape that common sense dies, or sawdust in the sausage. There's gotta be a place in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's what they're struggling with in this season of Tremé.
Yeah. He gets a check for his insurance payment. $495, which covers covers the carport on the house.
Mm-hmm.
He goes through a bit of a depression too. Albert definitely he doesn't want to be Big Chief anymore. Like,
I was gonna say, like, speaking of pushing a boulder uphill and having it roll over you.
Oh, yeah. It's just it's rough to see him go through it. And of course, watching Delman and his relationship with his dad, which is I
identify a lot with Delman, man, because
boy,
it sucks to have a dad that you can't get any kind of approval from.
Yeah, and nor can you satisfy this person.
Yeah,
no matter what, you can't.
When your dad won't stop bringing up the fact that you failed your chorus final. I mean, when your dad won't. When your dad wrote, "You're too stupid to learn this long division." Wait, that's still me.
Oh, yeah. Come on. You can do it. You can move to Tremé. We can do it.
Okay. When your dad won't approve of the jazz you play.
Oh, man.
The show touches me, Jesse.
I hear you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm ready to move on to the next, unless you got something else you want to say.
No. This is, you're the one fucking this dog.
I'm in the driver's seat.
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Hey, it's our friend, the teenage dirtbag from Generation Kill.
I know, and I
Ziggy, get your cock off my computer.
Well, he was so excited.
Yeah,
so excited to see him.
Excited to see his penis in the show, because you don't. There's no penis. That was only once. Ziggy, get your cock off my computer.
That's great. Yeah,
James going to be known for no matter how many shows he's in. Yeah, James Ransone
as Nick, and I was so glad that he showed up. Yeah, we got our arc with Jeanette here, which I don't think we talked very much about her. And granted, her whole arc. I mean, she starts out in New York, and when most of it, she's in New York. She's working for this nightmare of a chef. Oh my gosh.
Like, I know he's like a real chef, but he totally has a Gordon Ramsay moment where he like idiot sandwiches her.
Oh.
My kids think the idiot sandwich thing is like the funniest thing ever.
Well, explain that for our listeners, just in case they don't know what you're talking
Gordon
about.
Ramsay famously takes 2 pieces of bread, puts it on your ears, and goes, "You're an idiot sandwich."
Oh boy. Okay. Well, she has to get out from under this guy, and it finally reaches a boiling point, and she is like, "Okay, I'm done with this." She decides to quit
because the idiot sandwiches her.
Yeah, and he's, she's like, okay, well, I'm quitting my job. And she goes out and like, I don't give a shit about my career. I am going to go out in style.
She has a Popeye moment. That's all I can stand, and it can't stand no more.
And it just so happens there's this critic out in the restaurant at that moment that had apparently said some pretty nasty things about New Orleans. And she goes and gets a specific drink, which I'm sure it means something.
Yeah. Well, they spend several scenes about like, I can't believe. Look, they're splashing a drink in some motherfucker's face, and then there's you splashing Cesarac at a critic.
Right.
Like it was art.
Yes.
It was like art and protest and sex and everything. It was amazing.
She goes out and splashes that drink right in his face, which
Mhm.
we'll go ahead and say this. I sent you that.
Here's fucking mud in your eye.
And she knows there the potential is there that she is done doing any chef work whatsoever anywhere.
Yep. She is persona non grata.
That scene, and I sent you the message earlier.
Yeah, please talk about this. Like, I'm actually gonna like shut up and let you talk for more than 3 seconds. I want to hear all about this.
Well, I didn't read the full article like in depth and
okay, we'll just move on
it,
then.
but I'll tell you. I mean, I watched the video where Anthony Bourdain had talked about how he was writing for Tremé, and I was like, oh wow, really? This is interesting. And specifically in the video, he mentions that scene. So apparently he knows that critic. And I don't know if they're on the greatest of terms because the video made it sound like, you know, they may have some bit of a rivalry or something like that. But regardless, he was able to convince them to get the critic to come in. I don't know the critic's name that's in the scene. I'm sorry.
Hey, would you mind coming on our show, Tremé? It's about New Orleans. We're dealing with cuisine. Oh, sure, I'll come on your show. What's the plan here? We're gonna motherfuck you hard. How do you feel? And how do you feel dude? Rush Limbaugh got less motherfucked on Family Guy than this guy does.
Oh, I know, dude. And that's what's funny is like in the video, he's like, I cannot believe that I wrote this. Anthony Bourdain is saying, I can't believe I wrote this, and that he actually did it.
Right.
Because he could have opted out at any point, and he was
not letting you fucking throw Sazerac on me, you pieces of shit. Fuck, I come here of my own free will. I'm like taking scale for this. I'm imagining him saying.
So yeah, it was really that was really neat, and I did read a little bit about that article, how it came about. I think the article that I shared with you was it wasn't Variety, was it? I can't remember where the article was at. Something with a V, but anyway, it was written by. I think it was David Simon's wife. So anyway, so we watched Jeanette. Jeanette, she's in New York. She's working for this nightmare of a chef. She ends up quitting her job in dramatic fashion, at the very least, possibly torching her career. And then she becomes infamous, but respected.
Right.
You know, so like all of a sudden she's kind of getting some offers for work, and she goes to work for this really, really nice guy. I mean, that dude is like over.
Oh, he's like a real chef, though. Eric Repair.
Yeah.
Like he's like legit. He's been on Top Chef a bunch of times.
Okay, all right. I could tell he's definitely a good chef. He's not not the greatest actor, but
Jeanette, I want to help you. Oui.
Is it okay if I send you down to New Orleans? But no, this dude's really kind to her, and actually Nick. Down at the bottom here, Nick ends up getting her a job at this like really, oh my goodness, what's the best way to describe it? Go ahead. David Chang.
So the best way to describe it is the way James Ransone describes it in the show. It's the restaurant that chefs eat at.
There you go.
They are so she starts in this very prescribed upscale restaurant where everything has to be precise. We are surgeons performing heart surgery again and again and again. And when you don't do it right, patients die. That is like the seriousness in which this restaurant operates. And then she goes to work for, I believe his name is Eric Repair. And she's like, you know, she's a chef that ran her own restaurant. She is quality. And she's like, you know, essentially working like the hors d'oeuvre station or some shit. Like, I don't know the specificity of it. But again, chefs are creative. Chefs are artists. Chefs are people who, you know, paint with food. And she's being made to make deviled eggs over and over and over again. You know, for lack of a better euphemism. And she's like, I'm just happy to be working. But everyone can see she is bereft of soul. She is just like, what am I doing with my life? You know, like I'm trying to pay rent at this point and put walls back on my house. But
I didn't detect how unhappy she was. Apparently that chef did, though, because he's like,
well,
no, I'm not happy here. And I'm like, wait a second, what's going on? Why isn't she happy?
Imagine like, you know, so we create conversation. That is the art of the podcast. Imagine like iHeartRadio bought the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. I would fucking die, by the way.
I was going to say, wow.
It's like iHeartRadio.
I want to hang out with Josh and Chuck on
iHeartRadio comes in and buys the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. I fucking die happy is what happens. But But they come in and they're like, okay, so you know how like you're like cursing and you do like sex jokes and none of that. Here's your script. This is what you're doing from now on. You're gonna have guests come on. You're gonna interview people, and you know, in your podcast have to be 22 minutes because that's the best.
There's literal death, and then there's spiritual death. You're about to watch it happen to Mark Radulich.
Yeah, I couldn't do this anymore. I would be throwing Sazerac in my face. I can't do it, man. I come here to be free. This is the place where I'm the freest in my life. And if that gets taken, I got nothing. I got nowhere where I can be me. Imagine how she felt.
Yeah.
You know, she creates art and she's being told make widgets. She's not happy. She's happy to be able to pay bills. And we've all been there. Not all of us are making art. Some of us have to go make widgets. But you know, deep inside, it's like, this isn't what I became a chef for.
Yeah. And
he recognizes that, and she recognizes that in herself, and she goes to work for David Chang, and she's allowed to paint again.
Yeah. And you know that it starts going very well for her there. David's like, hey, how about all New Orleans night? Would you be interested in something like that? And boy, he was definitely.
I love David Chang.
Yeah.
David Chang's like, hey, we have this like private party coming in. But she wants a vegetarian dish. Fuck that bitch. Put pork in everything. You are my hero. I swoon. I was smitten with David Chang for that.
He was something else.
Well done.
I agree. But yeah, by the end of the season, I mean, she's starting to make a name for herself so much that some investors from New Orleans come up and are like, hey, we're interested in bringing you back. And
I got to address that center picture by doing a TikTok.
Okay.
Don't fuck your sous chef. Don't fuck your sous chef.
And don't fuck the floor.
Don't fuck your coworkers.
Yeah. It's probably good that you should hold true to that. She does not.
Nope.
So
Jeanette does not make great decisions.
Jacques, her old sous chef, which he ends up getting into some legal trouble.
Yeah.
He gets pulled in and they turn around and are going to deport him. So she takes some effort to get an immigration lawyer. She goes down to New Orleans, and the next thing you know, she gets him out of jail and into her bed.
Yep.
So
don't fuck your sous chef.
They sleep together. There's like this unwritten code that you shouldn't be doing this. And I can remember Jacques is, she goes, what is the one thing you need to remember? And Jacques like, don't fuck the floor. And she's like, well, also don't fuck your sous chef.
Right.
But yeah, they kind of have this relationship going on, which again, I think obviously she's probably going to feel that it's probably best for her to stay in New Orleans or make a life there. And we haven't even seen
she's homesick. That's, every member of this cast has New Orleans in their blood.
Right.
But everybody has been betrayed by New Orleans in some way in this show.
Yeah.
This is a love-hate kind of abusive, toxic relationship between the people of New Orleans and this fucking city. I kind of love it. But I'm also known for getting in toxic relationships.
Yes, you are.
That was a message to Robert for help, by the way.
All right, moving on. We'll talk about Tony,
boy.
Sophia, and Terry Colson.
Who doesn't want to punch the blue hair out of Sophia? Just once, this snotty little teen.
I understand that's
Sure.
What she's going through some stuff. I mean,
her dad committed suicide. I get it.
Yeah, there's that. So yeah, I'll read what I had written here. Tony's still dealing with her husband's Creighton suicide, keeping the truth from her daughter. They grow further and further apart during the season until towards the end. But as a lawyer, Tony is also looking at the Abreu case, which you talked about already, where a young man was killed during Hurricane Katrina by police. And as details unfold, we find out that police may have been involved. And her pursuit leads...
Maybe. They may have shot some poor kid dead.
Right. Her pursuit of leads result in becoming a bit more than friendly with Lieutenant Terry Colson. However, by the end of the season, Terry is in the unfortunate position that pits his job against that of Tony's. And then, yes,
he is a man without a fucking country. Boy, I would rather be Steve Earle than fucking
shot in the face and lying dead on the New Orleans street.
I would rather be shot dead with holding my guitar that says "This machine don't float" or whatever the fuck it said.
I think that's exactly
that'd be Coulson. Yikes.
Yeah, he's in, and he's in for where does he turn?
Yeah.
But yeah, Sophia, I think she's 16 now. She's trying to deal with her father's death, channeling her rage into YouTube videos, much like her dad.
I mean, who doesn't channel their rage in YouTube
Nowadays? Yeah, that's the way.
Okay.
She's a trendsetter.
You'll fucking throw a rock and hit a critical drinker.
She begins to act out a bit. I would say irrationally, going to bars and drinking, getting involved with people she should not be
riding
getting involved
in cars
with.
Come on, we both have teenage daughters. Don't they ride in cars with boys, and we tell them not to?
They better not. That's what I gotta say.
Sorry, and girls, because we have to be fucking equal.
They better not.
It was a euphemism, you fucking toaster oven.
What do you mean by toaster oven? How dare you?
Sorry. Would you let me abuse the female housemate that I have here in private? Thank you.
Yeah, in private.
In private.
On the public podcast.
On the public podcast, yes. Anyway.
So she gets picked up by the police while riding with some boys. She met at a bar. The cops find marijuana on her, resulting in an arrest. But that kind of leads to Tony and Sophia mending a little bit of fence. They begin to heal after
they have an interesting interaction where, because speaking of people giving someone who loves them shit for an entire season, she is just mean to her mom.
Right.
She's just like, suicide is terrible. That goes without saying.
Absolutely. One
One of the things that comes out of a situation with suicide is that the survivors tend to take it out on each other. Like Cray's the one that, and Melissa Leo makes a point of saying this. Cray's the one that gave up. Cray's the one that ran away. Cray's the one that killed himself. And yet Sophia takes it out on her mother. And her mother's like, I'm the one that stayed. I'm still fighting. I'm still here. I'm still loving you. I'm still mothering you. I'm doing everything. And you can't fight it in your heart to be decent, as if I killed him myself. And that hurt me. It hurt me. I don't, it's one of the things I was talking about with Robert with Boston Strangler. In that particular case, it was, I don't like to see marriages fall apart because people can't seem to get there. Find their way to each other. Some person's like single-minded pursuit of their own happiness and success causes a rift that can't be repaired, and people break up. That hurts me. I know it affects me. No matter how good or bad the product is, television or movies, that shit bothers me. And here, when you're the one that stays, and yet you get beat up by your family member, as if you should have been the one that died. Like, that sucks. She sucks this season. Like, she's not like a bad character or anything. The actress is perfectly serviceable, but her character sucks this season, and it hurt me to watch.
Well, I want to say that to me, it feels like one of the more real portrayals of hurt that you're talking about here. I mean, Sophia sucks
being an empath, by the way. Just want you to sort of throw that out there.
I hear you. Sophia is, she's hurting, and she's hurting so much. And I think a lot of this, of course, this story compound the fact that she didn't know that her dad committed suicide, and her mom never told her. And it was a friend at school,
right,
that said, hey, yeah, everybody knew that your dad committed suicide. We just thought that, you didn't want to talk about it.
And she herself turns into a jackass on screen.
And so one of the things I think that's happening with Sophia is she's seeing her mom go out and continue to be a person. But you and I both know that if there's something that really troubles your soul as a parent, a lot of what you don't want to do is let that show to your kid. And I think that's what's happening with Tony's. She's not letting Sophia know that the death of Cray is bothering her,
right?
That it hurts her just as much. And when they finally have that conversation in the police parking lot where she says,
it's heartbreaking.
And Sophia all of a sudden realizes my mom hurts too.
Yeah, I've been really shitty and selfish.
Yeah, my mom is hurting too,
Mhm.
and she feels the same way that I do. I think the most of what's happening here is the whole season she didn't realize she was on common ground with her mom because her mom wasn't showing it.
Well, I mean, she's also like a self-centered teenager, and all teenagers are self-centered.
Well,
that's part of growing up.
I'll give her that, but I mean, she doesn't have a way of. Tony's trying,
right?
But clearly, she has let this kid. How many scenes did we see where Sophia was coming in late at night, and Tony's just like beside
and blowing
herself.
her off and being disrespectful? By the way,
right?
We could look. Everything David Simon has a phenomenal cast of actors, like main star actors. But can we give big ups to fucking Melissa Leo?
Yeah. I
might be the most pristine actor in this entire thing, with the possible exception of Wendell Pierce.
I'll go ahead and give you that. And it's funny because I did not like her character in Homicide. I didn't like what she was doing in Homicide, but here she is shining.
Yeah, so, she's very flat in Homicide. Here, like, you can see her chops. She's quite good.
I agree. Yeah, we already talked about Lieutenant Terry Colson and what's going on with him. I mean, he's in a bad spot by the end of this season. So, all right, let's move on. We're talking Wendell Pierce as Antoine Baptiste. And then we have Sonny we're going to talk about. I mean, we've already covered most of what's going on here. I think with Sonny Sonny doesn't wear on me as much this season because he's actually growing a little bit. He's actually making a turn. He's trying to make an effort to become a good guy. I put Desiree on there just because I mean, she still has that nagging wife.
I was going to say, so where is she on the nagging Adrian scale?
She's up there.
Gotta be
you gotta get a job.
You gotta get a job, Antoine. Antoine, we can't be living up in here. Every fucking scene. Every scene.
And
Antoine, you can't be fucking girls on Mardi Gras. Take your baby.
That's what I was going to say. Like, Antoine's sitting there scheduling like 3 or 4 ladies to make moves on there during Mardi.
Stacking dates, like fucking polyamorous fucking Antoine over here.
And then the kids are dropped off, and he's got to take all 3 kids around with the Mardi Gras, which was hilarious.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, he, until the very end of this season, is a musician first, and then he realizes what damage that has caused. Right. Not just externally, not just with the relationships in his life, but internally, it kind of crushed his soul. And then, so by the end of it, he's like, I am on a quest to redeem myself in the eyes of others and in my own eyes.
Yeah.
I want to be a better person. I want to give back because he's a taker.
Yeah, he is. Oh, man. I think we open up this season with a cab, like screeching off. After he tries to hail one down, and as soon as they see it's Antoine, they're like, "Nope, we're out."
Come on, bro.
And then he's finally making money, and he pays one of the cabbies, and the cabbie's like, "Did somebody die?"
Oh, that is a great line. It's a fucking great line.
Oh man! All right, next up, we've already talked about Davis and his musical, his musical journey. You can tell. I do want to talk about my favorite moment. I think this is my number one favorite moment of the whole season. There's quite a few, but Davis, as goofy as he is, he runs into Sophia, who's at a bar. And if you remember right, season 1, he was her piano teacher. So they know each other, and he talks to her a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is uncomfortable.
He's talking to her for a few, and then he starts to, as the night goes on, he goes up and he's watching the band play, and he turns around and he looks back and he sees Sophia, who is continually pounding beers, and she's drunk, and there's like this massive dude beside her, and I'm like, geez, how tall is that guy? But anyway, he knows that something bad is going to go down because she is absolutely just completely obliterated. She is drunk. So he takes it upon himself to try and take care of her, and he takes her home. And really, I think the scene opens up with Sophia laying on a bed, and you can see she's in her bra, and she's covered
It's not
up.
what it looks like.
Yeah, and there's Davis sitting in a chair, and Annie walks in and I'm like, are we going to do this? Are we really going to do this?
How hackneyed can we be? Come on,
Right.
David Simon. Are we not better than this?
And she walks in, and of course, Davis, just like you said, it's not what it looks like. And Annie walks over and kisses him on the mouth and says, I know your heart. And I was like, damn, yeah, that's
Annie and Evan Bevins walk with Jesus.
Annie is an angel. I will tell you that much.
She absolutely is an angel. She is sent from heaven.
Yes.
She is one of God's children.
Right.
Sent to make us all better. I genuinely, I'm being somewhat snarky, but like the way she is written, she is like a genuinely good gal.
Right. Yeah,
you know?
she is. The way we end the season with Davis back at the radio station, all his dreams have now been, I mean, I wouldn't say his dreams are completely crushed. I mean, he did what he wanted to do. He just kind of left. He got paid for it. His aunt came in and helped him out, and he got a little bit of cash.
What sucks? To see yourself one way, to turn around and the rest of the world sees you as you are, and to have to live with that. And that is Davis's tragedy.
And he realizes that at the end. What sucks is that he's sitting there. He plays that song, and of course we get the great montage as we leave the season, and then we come back on Davis, who is like, man, that touched me, because I think the song it's something to do with like dreams and bubbles. I'm gonna have to look it up, folks. Don't write me. You got Mark's Twitter. Tell him about it. But I know that
hit me up at Mark Radulich on TikTok.
Essentially, it was. It was a song that kind of encapsulated what Davis was feeling, the fact that he had this great dream, and now he's back at the same spot where he was at the first of the season. He's back in the radio station yet again, and he probably feels like he didn't make much of a difference. Who knows? I know he had fun doing it. That's the thing, though. With Davis, it's all about the fun that he had. So that, I think, is everybody that I have on here. I don't have anybody else, I believe. We've talked them all, man.
All right.
So... you got any final thoughts? I'll shoot it to you first.
I love season 2. I love the that bit that I put on TikTok about how New Orleans infects music. I loved Annie's story. I love Davis's story. I love, as tragic as it is, we think of tragedy, we think of like death and dismemberment and all suicide, all of that. But like the tragedy of only wanting what's good for your city, and the city and everyone in it being utterly against you. It is like, it would be like having the cure for cancer and everyone's like, we don't want it. We'd rather just die, but I can help. Yeah. In a lot of ways, season 2 is very David Simon. It just now kind of hit me, because we talk about every season of The Wire is tragic. What the fuck did I do? And so far in 2 seasons of Tremé, it's been tragic, because comedy and tragedy, tragedy is when things end badly and negatively. People are having to, and it comes up in Davis's in the montage where, Annie finds the song in her heart, but it cost her friend. Davis has passion and drive to want to help this city, and the city is utterly against him. Jon Seda's character just wants to come in. Yeah, he wants to make money, don't we all? Right? Food costs money. He just wants to come in and save the city, and the city is utterly fucking against him. He's like the character from The Producers. Like, I did everything right. Like, why? Why is this not working? Actually, the line is, I did everything wrong. How did I succeed? I did everything wrong. But like that idea of like, I did everything you told me to give this person money, I gave this person money. You told me to put blackface on and hit on a black girl with a coconut in my hand. I did. You told me to do this, I did. You told me to do this, I did. How am I fucking losing?
Right.
Jeanette ends up better than she was. Jeanette has a positive arc where she's better off at the end of the season than she was at the beginning.
There's promise there.
Yeah. Antoine is better off at the end of the season than he is at the beginning. He is starting to become whole and mature and understand that there was a saying, I used to listen to the Dave Ramsey show, and he was like, the American dream is to Dave Ramsey.
I have a girl at work that I know. I mean, Dave Ramsey.
If one more person brings the debt snowball up, I'm going to give him a different kind of snowball. Thank you, Kevin Smith. Anyway, Dave Ramsey used to say, like, the American dream is to work hard, be successful, make a bunch of money, and give it all away. You know, and you don't have to, necessarily have money, but Antoine Baptiste is a successful, talented musician, and the best thing he can do in life is to give that knowledge to others, to bring on the next generation of musicians, and he does at the end. That's what he's doing. He's finally not taking, he's giving. That's a huge arc for him. Melissa Leo and Terry are at odds, and there are people without countries, and they are struggling. Sophia is better off by the end of the season than she is, but she stops getting in her own fucking way.
Right. She takes on a little bit of responsibility. Remember when the guy comes into the Starbucks or wherever she's working at, and how about you come back out back and smoke some weed with me? And she's like,
hey, you want to get laid in the parking lot? Not today.
Yeah,
not today.
I should probably run this shop.
I should just make coffee. It's fine. And then finally, like, Delman, he so craves his father's attention and approval.
Yes.
And and even Big Chief kind of softens just a little bit. Like, he is religiously, zealously committed to what he believes is the right thing, and ain't no one going to tell him different. However, he does see that his son is trying. They have that one exchange where he's just like, "You're not marching the fucking parade. You're no Indian." He's like, "I'm sewing." He's like, "Uh-huh." And Delman, like, almost in tears, like a child. Like, the beauty and the grace and the great acting in this show is that someone of that talent, that caliber, in that scene could just become so childlike so instantaneously. Like, the interplay between I think it's Clarke Peters and the guy that plays Delman, where that father-son dynamic reduces Delman to a child instantaneously. All right, Daddy, I'll sew. Damn, Daddy, I'll start sewing now. Like, my heart broke for him. Like, have we not all looked up to a parent that all we wanted was their approval and yelled, "Fine, I'll start sewing now. Please just stop. Please stop and love me."
Yeah.
For just a minute. And by the end of the season, he finds a little bit of fat love for his son to give it to him. But boy, what a price he had to fucking pay for it. Like, what hoops he had to jump through, what he had to lose to get his father to show him a little bit of love. Just a little to not have you could throw yourself off the nearest fucking roof.
Right.
I love this season. There were so many great moments, so many great lines. I couldn't find a good list of quotes for this season, like we were doing with The Wire, but I recommend Tremé to anyone who has a love of music. You don't necessarily have to love jazz, but if you have any kind of passion for music and don't mind that the show can be a little unwieldy at times and a little meandering, less meandering in season 2 than season 1. Season 1 was like being drunk on Bourbon Street. You're just wandering around. You may or may not have a shirt. Season 2, you're not quite so drunk and you know which bar you're going to. Mm-hmm. He'll eventually get there. It's fine. So I'm really enjoying this. Like, I know we made such a huge stinking deal about The Wire because it's like my favorite show ever. This second run of Tremé has made me fall in love with the show in a way that I didn't think was possible.
Okay. Well, I'm interested for season 3. I can't wait to see what's next, really, because there's almost like, it's not that I'm expecting David Simon to plant some seeds to make me want to see what's going to happen in season
I'm sorry
3.
There's no time travel.
Well, there's only so much I guess I should expect David Simon to do. But yeah, I mean, there's no this almost feels like, hey, if we ended Tremé right here, we could end Tremé right here if we wanted to. This season 2 could be it. So I don't know if that was something that was on the table at the time. I doubt it, but we know that season 4 is definitely a lot shorter than most seasons of television.
Yeah.
So who knows? But regardless, we got. I do want to see what happens with these characters next. I don't know if they're going to be introducing anybody. You would know better than I do.
It's been a while, and
okay,
I remembered more about the first 2 seasons than I did seasons 3 and 4. What I remember about season 4 is like, wait, it's over.
Yeah.
So look, I'm anxious to watch it too. So let's talk about when we're gonna do this again. Hopefully you don't make me wait a whole 2 months. June 12th, seasons 3 and 4, Tremé. That's when we're doing this again. The whole Corner to the Deuce series, we are, winding somewhat down here. Hang on. I did this wrong.
I just pulled up the Tremé soundtrack
Mm-hmm.
on Spotify. There is Shame, Shame, Shame by Steve Zahn and Friends on there. If you remember from season 1.
Okay.
Shame, Shame, Shame. My Indian Red by Dr. John.
So we've got Tremé, seasons 3 and 4, June 12th. Show Me a Hero, which was a miniseries, July 17th. We've got The Deuce. Oh, I can't wait to watch The Deuce with you, because I know what a fiend you are for sexual things. Your appetite for the kink and BDSM world is renowned. Just
how many
Starcher
seasons
of
is
Ohio. That? 3 delicious pornographic seasons.
Gosh, I'm gonna have to watch this in my bedroom.
I'm gonna need you to give me a 10-page paper on feminist pornography.
Can't wait.
So that you have proper context for The Deuce.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait. Because I like it when people are uncomfortable. So we got Tremé, June 12th, Show Me a Hero, July 17th, The Deuce, August 14th, The Deuce season 2, September 11th, October 16th, The Deuce again, season 3. That is the end of The Deuce. The Plot Against America, which I have never seen before, is November 13th. And then we're done. That is our final chapter on the road from the corner to the Deuce, Jesse Starcher of the Screaming Boy podcast. So we will be done with this series November 13th. But hey, don't fret, ladies and gentlemen, because I can't quit Jesse Starcher, no way, no how. And Ronnie Adams wants to put the band back together. So January 15th, we start a new series. And no crazy theme this time. It's just a series of television that we wanted to discuss. So by Ronnie's request, we are finally getting to a show that I've never seen before. That is Sons of Anarchy. All 7 seasons, starting in January and running through August 12th. And then because I am a good friend, I'm a loyal friend, and I love my friends, and when they need things from me, I give it to them because I ask so much of them. And I promised Robert Winfrey, good to his mother, many, many moons ago that we would do Ash versus Evil Dead. And despite his protest that he doesn't need anything, he doesn't need nobody, he is a man who walks alone, I said, knock it off, asshole. We're doing Ash versus Evil Dead because I promised you we would before I went social. So we will be finishing up the year with Ash versus Evil Dead, seasons 1 through 3, September, October, and November of the year of our Lord 2024.
Is that just a you and Robert thing?
Nope, that's you. You don't get out of any of this.
I'm down. Trust me.
Okay.
I'm down for some Ash versus
This
Evil
what we're
Dead.
doing is me and you forever.
I can't wait.
We
I cannot wait.
Bring on a third person,
got
if
you.
that at all. Okay.
Thruple time.
Thruple. Yeah. Now you're getting it.
Man, you've corrupted me. Get me the fuck out of here.
Not the first nor the last time I will hear that sentence in my life. Hey, Jesse.
Yes.
Say it with me now. Say it with me.
All right.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Nothing to fuck with, sir.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
with.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Season 3, baby. A week from tonight, Wu-Tang Clan and American Saga. Season 3, the final season. Speaking of floods, what happened to the RZA's basement?
Oh, man. This is going to be good stuff. Going to be good stuff.
This is the season where the Wu-Tang Clan comes together and forms Voltron.
Wow. That's 2 weeks from tonight, buddy.
No.
Yeah, you better check your schedule one more time. 9
June
p.m.
5th.
June 5th.
That's right.
There we go.
Next week is Monday the 29th. June 5th.
There you go.
2 weeks, June 5th, Wu-Tang Clan, then Tremé, and then I won't bother Jesse for a while. This week on the Rad Legend Broadcasting Network, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, even, we will be reviewing Fast X at Damn You Hollywood at its usual time of 9 o'clock. Wednesday is nothing that I'm doing, but Thursday, the good boys from the Movies That Don't Suck and Some That Do podcast will be reviewing A Good Person and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, How to Torture Animals. And then at night, speaking of torturing someone, myself and good to his mother, Evan Bevins, and I will be doing a comic strip for Cowboys and Aliens.
Been a while since you've done a comic strip, hasn't it?
Yeah, I like to work him into my rotation. I have a rotation, Jesse. Everyone gets their time.
That's good.
Everyone gets their time.
I like it.
And and so everyone, gets their time with me, and Evan's turn is up in my rotation.
That's great. That's fantastic.
What's it like working with Mark? A lot. It sucked since his wife forced him into park. Talk about a horse that won't stop being beaten. Anyway,
it ain't dead yet, folks.
Evan Bevins, who walks with Jesus, will be on Thursday night comic stripped. We're going to do Cowboys versus Aliens. We'll compare the comic to the book. That'll be a lot of fun. Next week, rather Friday, Saturday. We're going to take a break from Everyone Loves a Bad Guy. And hey, remember when we talked the rise and fall of Bill Cosby?
I was part of that. Was I?
Yes.
Well, if I was or not. Okay.
The Screaming Boy podcast, the rise and fall of Bill Cosby after he got convicted of raping women and shit. So
Pops.
Yeah, but we're to put pop. So we're gonna re-air that show, and then it's Metal Hammer of Doom Sundays, Dragon Force, Maximum Overload. That's what I like to give the girls, Maximum Overload. And and Tuesday, The Little Mermaid. Will it suck? We'll find out. Hey, guess what next month is, Jesse?
Oh, tell me.
It's your favorite month of the year.
That's
it's where all the shows you enjoy that I do will be aired. Do you know what that is?
What is that?
It's LGBTQ plus month, Pride Month.
Oh, the whole month.
The whole month. So Sean Comer, the other protocol son, will be back. The original Long Road to Ruin host will be joining me for a series of, just like we did Black History Month, this is LGBTQ Pride Plus Month.
Okay.
So we're kicking things off with a Long Road to Ruin for the Trash Trilogy. You know what that is?
Trash?
The Trash Trilogy.
Oh, please explain.
Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble is what they call it, and Desperate Living, the story of Mark Radulich.
I have Actually, the whole trilogy implies, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like
really.
Somehow...
Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, and Desperate Living, the story of Mark Radulich, year 2022 and on.
Oh, shit.
Not entirely sure what Pink Flamingos have to do with it, but
well,
anyway.
you can work it in there somehow. I mean, that's your origin story, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, Sean Comer and I are going to discuss those three movies known as the Trash Trilogy. And then we'll be doing a triple feature for Boys Don't Cry, Ed Wood, and Gia as we continue our trio of LGBTQ plus shows. And then finally, we end the month with Far From Heaven, The Kids Are All Right, and Mulholland Drive. All movies with an LGBTQ plus element to them. Jesse, I hear you review comics and paint houses.
I do, as a matter of fact. You can watch you can listen to me paint a house on this podcast. Listen, the Source Material Comics feed, it's right here on the W2M network. But look, go on to the Spotify, whatever podcatcher you have, just type in Source Material, and you can find myself and Mark Radulich. Mark Radulich, that's your name now. Mark Radulich.
I've been called worse.
Mark Radulich and I discussing a trilogy of metal-inspired comics. That's right, Iron Maiden, Slayer, and can't forget our good friends at Guar. That's
yes,
right.
sir.
Check it.
Orgasmageddon, baby.
That's right. We had a good time talking about those comics that involved those metal properties somehow. That's right there on the Source Material Comics feed. And I also discussed 90s comics with my good buddies on the Unspoken Issues podcast. And just today, we released Judge Dredd America. Came out in 1990. And for a book that came out in 1990, there were definitely some pretty progressive themes in that book. And from what I understand, that's kind of the MO for Judge Dredd. But yeah, check it out. We have a lot of discussion about surprise. Dean Compton was on that podcast, and we talked about fascism.
So I was talking about how you big time me and started your own feed. Do you remember that? You remember when you abandoned me?
I mean, I'm selling a
like Calliope. Remember when you were Calliope to my DJ Davis?
Right. Yeah, I don't think I caught on as well as the Radulich Broadcasting Network did. But go ahead.
So when you totally Callioped me, I was explaining to one of my housemates, and then there was like, so I was explaining the whole source material versus unspoken issues thing. They're like, so explain unspoken issues, and I went through your whole thing about how you wanted to do work with the unspoken decade and what the unspoken decade was, and then I had to explain to him who Dean Compton was. And I'm like, imagine a guy who is mostly made of cocaine that you have to constantly peel off the ceiling, and he's one part Sam Kinison. That is Dean Compton.
Dean Compton.
Look, Jesse has a hard time wrangling me because, you know, I am an artiste, and he's like, please fucking focus. And, you know, I am like a soul apostle to Jesse Starcher's Antoine Baptiste.
Sure.
Jesse is trying to get me to the gig on time. I am nothing compared to Dean Compton, who comes in naked, hairy, foaming, and having to pull him off the ceiling.
Dean Compton is ready to go at a moment's notice. There have been times where he's just like, I can't do it tonight. I can't be Dean Compton tonight. And I'm like, I understand.
Dean Compton is the animal to Jesse Starcher's Dr. Teeth.
Yeah, man, you turn him loose. If you get him talking, Judge Dredd was a really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Dean has a very, very strict view on fascism, and you know he's an anarchist. He's an anarchist at heart. He's an anarchist. He's a red card carrying member anarchist, ladies and gentlemen. He'll tell you that to your face, and it's fun to listen to him talk politics with me because, as you could probably tell, I don't have much to offer.
So tune in next month where we abandon this these shows and I make Jesse watch K Street.
K Street?
You know what we should do? I should make you watch The West Wing.
Oh boy.
Because I know how much you love politics and the presidency.
I know. Again, you know, can we watch 24? That sort of has something to do.
Okay. I hear
Jack
you want to
Bauer?
force me. I hear you want to force me to watch something political. 24 is politically charged.
Yes. The president is involved. I remember watching those first few seasons. I do.
Okay, that's funny.
I'm done. That's all my plugs.
All right, Jesse's done. He's driving. All right, folks. We're back with season 3 next month. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this review tonight. Watch Tremé, and then Sachet. For Jesse Starcher, who loves the sex talk.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He can't wait for us to talk the deuce.
No, gosh. I don't know what the hell I'm getting into.
I am a giant gaping asshole. Be well, be safe, and behave.